Hello, everyone, and happy Indie Author Day. My name is Renee Edwards, and I am the Program Director for Fairfax County Public Library. I would like to welcome you to our program, Cook Along with Pat Tanumihardja. This is the final event in our Indie Author Week celebrations. So, you may be wondering, what are indie or independent authors, and why do we celebrate Indie Author Day? An indie author is someone who self-publishes and who wants to reach as many readers as possible and grow a profitable author publishing business. So, our annual Indie Author Day is a very special event for libraries and its readers because it allows us to meet and celebrate the achievements of not only our indie writers, but all local writers living in our community. I would like to introduce today's local writer. Born to Chinese Indonesian parents in Jakarta and raised in Singapore, Pat Tanumihardja grew up embraced by two very food-focused cultures, and she learned to appreciate and cook good and diverse foods from a young age. Pat has been a food writer for the past decade and contributed to numerous national and international magazines. She is the author of several cookbooks, including the just released Quick Asian Pickles at Home and Instant Pot Asian Pressure Cooker Meals. She lives in West Springfield with her husband and son. Welcome and thank you so much for being here, Pat.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Renee, and welcome everybody. I'm so happy that you chose to spend your afternoon or morning, for those of you who are on the West Coast, with me. I was a bit concerned if anybody was going to show up after the news with the elections today, but I'm glad to see that we have lots of people. And I can't see you, but I know you're there. And so as we were discussing before, I really would love this to be an interactive session. I do not like talking to myself. So if you do have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and just shout out your question. Or if you prefer, you can also type your question in the chat box. And I think Rabinder says that she is going to keep an eye on the chat box and see if anybody has any questions. And so please feel free to shout out your questions and let me know if there's anything that you don't understand, or if you'd like me to clarify. And I have lots of ingredients. I'm in my home kitchen, so welcome. And I have all kinds of different ingredients. If you would like to see what brands of sauces I buy, I'd be more than happy to show you those as well. So and as Renee was saying, I have written 4 cookbooks. My first one is the Asian Grandmother's Cookbook. So this came out in 2009. So that's my first baby. And then Farm to Table Asian Secrets was the next one. And this is all about cooking vegetables the Asian way, using local and seasonal vegetables. This is Asian Pickles at Home. And then my latest one is the Instant Pot Asian Pressure Cooker Meals. So the first recipe that I am going to make today is a Thai Basil Chicken Rice. And if you like Thai food, this is actually a riff on, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right because it's a Thai word, Pat Krap Pao Mu, which is like Thai basil pork, or you can make it with chicken as well. So I am going to make it with chicken thigh meat, but you can use ground pork or ground chicken or ground turkey if you'd like. Let me go get the chicken from. So, okay, I've cut up some chicken thighs into pieces like about 3/4 to an inch thick. And you can use breasts if you would like, but I like chicken thighs because I feel like, I don't know, it's just more juicier. And so. And I have some chicken stock. I have some Thai chili sauce. This is actually a sauce that I make myself, but you can actually buy this sweet chili sauce at the store, and it comes in a big bottle. So this is soy sauce, and then we have fish sauce, some sambal olet or any chili paste will do. I have shallots, I have garlic, I have some Thai basil. So a nice big bowl of Thai basil. I have jasmine rice, which I have rinsed. I wish I had one of those overhead cameras or at least a mirror on the ceiling so you can see what all my ingredients are. It's kind of hard. I try to show it to the camera, but I'm afraid like things are gonna fall out. But there's my Thai jasmine rice. I have rinsed this. So rinsing rice and putting it in the rice cooker was actually one of my first tasks as a child in my mom's kitchen. So I would rinse the rice at least 3 or 4 times until the water rinsed clear. Those were like strict instructions. And I bought this nifty, it's like a sieve, I guess. See, so when you pour the water out of the bowl, the rice doesn't gets caught in it. And you can use a colander as well, of course, but I just thought it was so cute. So. All right, so I have an Instant Pot Ultra. This is an 6 quart, which is the medium-sized one. So there's a 3 quart, 6 quart, and the 8 quart. So this is the size that I think most people have. And if you look online for recipes, or if you have Instant Pot cookbooks, that is the size that most people use as the standard. But recipes can easily be measured up or measured down. So, but, okay, so first thing we're gonna do is turn the Instant Pot to saute mode and on high. And I have got some vegetable oil here, so I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I usually use either canola or sunflower oil. So, but you can use, any oil that you like at home. Safflower, peanut oil. The only oil that I probably wouldn't use is olive oil because it's not really neutral tasting. It has a particular flavor to it, which personally for me, I don't quite like how it goes with Asian food, but I know some people who actually do use light olive oil to stir fry or to make Asian dishes. My friend who's a Thai cooking instructor, she uses light olive oil. So it's all a matter of taste. And my dad always says, food is a matter of taste. It doesn't matter if nobody else likes it, just as long as you like it. So we're gonna oops, not even started. There we go. Okay, so it's preheating. Now, if this were a wok, the one way that I would know that the oil is hot enough is actually to put my hand over the pan and see if I can, like maybe 2 or 3 inches above. I'll show you later because I'll be also demonstrating a stir fry. But yeah, if you can feel the heat on your hand, you know that the oil is hot enough. Or another way is to, put whatever ingredient that you're going to be cooking into the pan, and if it starts to sizzle, that means the oil is hot enough. So we'll just wait a little bit longer. So I think if you do own an Instant Pot, you know that one of the best aspects of owning an Instant Pot is the fact that you don't need a separate pan to like brown your meat or, or whatever aromatics. Because like if you use just a slow cooker or, one of those stovetop pressure cookers, you can't brown your food. So, and browning does release a lot of the aromatics and the flavor. So, but but with the Instant Pot, even if you don't brown your meat, because the temperature and the pressure that the food's cooked at, the flavors are all released anyway. So even if you don't brown anything, your food will still be really tasty. All right, so I'm gonna put in the garlic. So, oh, okay, it didn't sizzle, so that means it's not hot yet. But okay, I can start. I can hear it sizzle right now. So starting to sizzle, 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 sizzle. So I've got about 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic. And then I have about 1/2 cup of shallots. And usually prefer Asian shallots, which are a lot smaller than these European shallots. I wish I had a small Asian shallot to show you to compare, but this is like half of a European shallot. So they usually come like in two cloves like this. Ta-da, this is a smaller European shallot. Asian shallots are like even smaller than this. So my mom says that the Asian shallots are a lot sweeter, but honestly, I don't really know the difference. So to me, both of them are flavorful. So, but one thing's for sure, they are definitely a lot milder and sweeter than red onions. So, but if you don't have shallots, you can always use red onions. If you don't have red onions, you can always use any other type of allium. You can use, white onions, yellow onions, sweet onions, even green onions. So I am a huge proponent of using what you have at home. So, okay, so I am just stirring all this in here. So once you can smell the aromatics, add the chicken. I'm gonna brown the chicken a little bit, and then I'm gonna add all the different sauce ingredients in here. Mix it up. There's the soy sauce. And there's the fish sauce. And then I'm putting in some sambal ola. Okay. However much you would like. If you don't like it spicy, you don't have to add that. If you like it really spicy, you can always add more. Okay. The chicken's browning nicely. Now I'm going to add the rice in. So I use jasmine rice, just because, I don't know, that's the rice that I am used to, but you can always use basmati rice. And I mean, if you wanted to, you could also use Japanese rice, which is short grain. So, but the only problem with the short grain rice, your rice might come out a little mushier. So I would try and reduce the liquid a little bit. Okay. So I put in the rice and I'm just stirring everything together. I'm going to turn off saute mode. And I am going to pour in this mixture. Make sure you mix everything thoroughly. And you want to scrape the bottom of the pot, because if you have burnt bits stuck to the bottom of the pot, you might get what they call the burn notice. I'm sure if you have used the Instant Pot several times, you have at one point or another seen the burn notice on your Instant Pot sign or screen here. So when that happens, it usually means that you either didn't put enough water or liquid into your pot, or there are just too many burnt, there's too much burnt residue at the bottom of your pot. Okay, so now I am going to put the lid on. So I have my liner on. I have forgotten to put my liner in several times, and you will know that you have forgotten to put your liner in because your Instant Pot will not work. So I am going to turn the lid. Let me just make sure how many minutes. So if you are using a different model, you might have, I think it might be called a manual function, but on my Instant Pot, it's the pressure cook function, and it's going to be set on high. I don't know if you can see it, but Okay, so this is high, and then it's going to be cooking for 4 minutes. So the lid's on tight, my liner's in, and I just turned it on. No, I didn't just turn it on. Okay, now I'm just turning it on. All right, okay. So let me move this aside. So, and then the next dish I'm gonna make is a quick cucumber kimchi. So everybody loves kimchi, right? So, well, maybe not everybody. My husband does not like kimchi. My son, who's 10, actually loves kimchi. So but the dish that I'm gonna make today is a quick cucumber kimchi. Let me move this out of the way. My kimchi stuff. Does anybody have any questions? No? Ravinder, I see there are quite a few chats. Are there any questions in the chat? No?
No question right now.
No? Okay, all right. No worries. Okay, so I bought some mini Persian cucumbers from the store. For some reason, I love these cucumbers because, I don't know, they're small and cute, I guess. Oh, there's a question. Oh, no, okay.
There's a question. What is the difference between Thai basil and American basil?
The flavor is definitely different. I mean, the Thai basil, it looks different because it tends to be a lot sharper, and it sometimes has like a purplish hue threaded throughout the leaves as well, and it has more of a licorice flavor too. Here, I have some basil here. And let me see if I have a whole Thai basil in here. So, and you can see it's like, so this is Italian basil, and this is Thai basil. It has serrated leaves as well. See, look at the edges, they're a bit serrated. So, and then this is not so obvious, but it's got some purplish dots throughout it as well. So, and the flavor, this is definitely more licoricey. And if you cannot find Thai basil, you can do a mix of, regular Italian basil as well, Italian basil and mint mixed together. I think that makes a pretty decent substitute. And, if you don't go to the Asian store very often, if you just go buy a bunch and you can root it, that's what I do. So I'll just buy my basil at the Asian market, and then I will stick it in a jar of water, and then it will grow roots. And just depending on what I feel like, sometimes I'll just pot it, or I'll just leave it in the jar with water, and it will grow new leaves. So somebody else, oh yes, I am using a 6-quart instant pot. So excuse me if you see I'm squinting at the screen. So my laptop's like a little further away. So anyway, yeah. So, and I know sometimes I just use Thai basil and Italian basil interchangeably. I've actually made Thai basil pesto before, and it's pretty tasty. So it depends on what I have available at home. Anyway, so I was saying Persian cucumbers. So you can use regular cucumbers as well, or Kirby cucumbers, whatever you can find. No problem. I like Persian cucumbers because they're not really seedless, but they're called seedless cucumbers, but the seeds don't bother me. So anyway, I've already chopped up some into like little circles, but I'm going to show you a different way of cutting it too. So you can cut them into coins, or you can cut them into long pieces. It's all a matter of preference, however you would like your cucumber slices to be. So, and there's also a Chinese smacking technique. So I did a demo on this once, Chinese smacked cucumbers. And the good thing about smacking your cucumbers is that it you know, it forms crags in your cucumbers so that it absorbs all the flavors very readily. And you don't need to marinate it for as long for the cucumbers to be flavorful. So this recipe, I mean, usually it calls for like a marinate time of like 12 to 24 hours. But if you're in a rush, you can always just serve it like after 1 hour marinade. So I can already hear the Instant Pot making noise. So, and I won't have time to salt the cucumbers, but ideally you should salt them for about 30 minutes so that all the excess juices are drained out and your cucumbers stay nice, crisp, and crunchy. So, there we go. I'm almost done here. Oh, okay, I'm gonna show you how to like smack your cucumbers. So you cut them into quarters like this. And then, so I use the back of my knife, but you know, if this is scary to you, my husband says it's really scary, but you can use a meat pounder, but all you have to do is just like smack, whoops, so not that hard, just smack down on your cucumbers so that it just breaks up your cucumbers and it forms crags inside it. Okay, and then let me grab a bowl. So we're just gonna mix all the different ingredients up together. So we also have garlic that's already been chopped up and some sugar. So you can adjust the amount of sugar. I know some people don't like to use too much sugar in their cooking, so you can always totally adjust it. You can use less, for sure. Garlic, some sugar. I have 2 different types of chili here. So this is Korean pepper flakes. I don't know, sorry, you can see it. So Korean pepper flakes, and this is Korean pepper paste, also known as gochujang. I make my own, and there is a recipe in my Asian Pickles at Home cookbook. And or if you don't want to make it, you don't want to buy it because they come in these huge tubs at the Asian market. And if you don't make Korean food all that often, it's hard to use it up in less than 2 years. You can also mix miso paste with a little bit of you know, chili paste and maybe some honey to give it that texture. And so this is my bag of Korean pepper flakes. I use it to make regular kimchi as well. And they do come in big bags. This is, I think, 3 pounds. And this is like one of the smaller bags. I don't even know if it comes in a 1 pound bag. But if you go to the Asian market, you can find these in like 10 pound bags. So anyway, I'm gonna mix in. So, and remember, you can adjust, you know, how spicy you want your dish to be. So you can always add more or less depending on what you like and what your family likes. And then I have some fish sauce here. If you're vegetarian, you feel free to use soy sauce. And then I have some vinegar here. So this is rice vinegar. It's unseasoned. If you don't have rice vinegar, you can also use apple cider vinegar. White vinegar is okay if you're in a pinch, but do keep in mind white vinegar tends to be a little bit sharper, so I would use less. And you know, maybe white wine vinegar would work as well. I don't use white wine vinegar all that much. So I'm gonna mix everything together. And we need some ginger as well. So I am going to grate some ginger, but I just wanted to show you 2 different types of ginger I have. This is young ginger. I don't usually buy young ginger, but it came in my community supported agricultural box a week or so ago. And so young ginger tends to have a much milder flavor, and it's got really thin skin, so I don't bother peeling it. So that's young ginger, and then this is just, you know, the regular ginger that you find at the market. So I have a ginger grater, that my friend gave me. So it's made of plastic, and it's got a lid with serrated holes in it. So you just take your piece of ginger, and you can either peel your ginger or not, and then you just scrape it. So, like that. And I need about 2 teaspoonfuls. If you don't have a ginger grater, you can always use a microplane. A microplane works fine. Or you can just chop it by hand. That's not ideal, but yeah, you know, if you don't want to buy too many gadgets, you can always just make do with what you have in your kitchen.
That if you use regular salt instead of kosher, how much should you use?
If you use regular salt instead of kosher, I would use less. So the salt in this recipe is actually just for to sprinkle over the cucumbers so that the liquid drains out. So I think in my recipe, I call for 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. So I would use, I don't know, maybe about 1 teaspoon to start with. And it doesn't really matter because for this, you will rinse out all the salt from the cucumbers. I think it will make a difference if you're actually cooking with the salt, but for this recipe, it doesn't matter. So yeah, the salt grains, kosher salt grains are actually bigger than regular table salt grains or even like fine sea salt grains. So you have to make sure that you pay attention because you can find yourself over salting your food if the recipe calls for kosher salt and you have table salt. That's happened to me before. And it's okay if it's the other way around. If it's not salty enough, you can always add more salt. But if, you know, you can't take away salt. I mean, my mom has, you know, given me some different ideas of how you can tame a too salty dish. And she told me like to add potatoes, add more sugar, or just top off the liquids. So, I mean, if you do happen to have a dish that's overly salted, you know, you can try any one of these different ways of trying to fix it. So, I don't know, does anybody have any suggestions on what you can do for an oversalted dish? I always love listening to what other people have done before. I learn so much from my audience as much as they learn from me. So, anybody? Any ideas? No? All right. So I have my ginger here. I'll just put it in here. So I'm just gonna mix everything together. That's what my marinade looks like. So I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I don't want to like spill it all over my table, so I'm just gonna mix it. It just looks like a nice thick marinade. Just make sure that all the sugar has been dissolved and the chili paste as well. So yeah, this is a great shortcut if you're new to kimchi or you don't want to, you're scared to try making kimchi for the first time. I can still remember the first time I made actual kimchi. I was a little bit apprehensive because I wasn't sure what I was doing. But making kimchi is actually not very difficult. So you just follow directions. If you're lucky enough to have somebody to ask questions of, please definitely do ask questions. But yeah, kimchi is actually easy to make, and it's so tasty. Okay, I'm just gonna pour it on. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna do it the other way around, so that you can actually see the nice vibrant colors. Oh, I think my rice is ready too. Wow, that was really quick. I always like to tell people that, don't be deceived by the name Instant Pot because it's not really instant, but in this case, this recipe is really, really quick. So most of the time taken to actually make the Thai basil chicken is from prepping all the different ingredients. Okay, so yeah, I think you can see it that way. Ta-da! So that's my quick cucumber kimchi. I'm gonna set this aside. And so we don't need to wait for this to, you don't need to let it rest before you do, what do you call it? The release, the quick release. So I usually use my Instant Pot on top of my stove. I will either put a towel or a baking sheet on the bottom, and then I put my Instant Pot on top of it, and then I'll turn on my fan to absorb all the fumes that come out, not fumes, all the air that comes out from the pressure cooker. So I'm gonna turn this off, and then I'm gonna unplug it and then bring it over to my stove and turn on the fan. Otherwise, everywhere. And there's a pressure release. You just stir this up a little bit. And I'm gonna set up my electric wok for the stay on. So these some ingredients for the quick kimchi, cucumber kimchi, and this is fine. So while we're waiting, does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Pat, I have a question.
Yeah.
What if you don't have a pressure cooker? How difficult is it to take those recipes and, I mean, how would we cook them without a pressure cooker?
Do you have a rice cooker?
No, I have a crock pot.
You have a pot? Well, you know, you could totally do it in a pot on the stovetop as well. But I cannot tell you exactly how much liquid you would need or how much time you would require because I haven't tested it yet. But you could totally do it in a pot on the stovetop as well. So, but let me get back to you on that. I will test it out. I know not everybody has an Instant Pot, so it would be, yeah, a good idea for me to test it out on the stovetop. And it's a really tasty recipe and it's so easy. So I really should make it accessible to everybody. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. So I will look into it. Okay, let me just... Okay. I am going to bring this back here, and then my recipe calls for green peas, but I am using snow peas instead. But any quick cooking vegetable is ideal. So because you want the vegetable to like cook really quickly as you just stir everything in here. So I don't even need to turn on the saute button, and my snow peas are already cooking. And I kind of like them crunchy anyway, so I don't want them soggy. And then the last bit is to put the Thai basil leaves in there. So it calls for about 1.5 cups. Stir it in here. And I will plate this for you so that you can see what it looks like. I can smell the basil.
Question.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned rice cooker. I don't have a Instant Pot, but I do have a rice cooker.
Uh-huh.
And so if the rice cooker, is it the same method as what you're doing with?
Yeah, it would be the same method as I would be doing too. I probably would use less chicken stock. So yeah, like you said, I can't give you an exact measurement for how much liquid to use because I haven't tested the recipe in rice cooker yet. But yeah, you would use the exact same ingredients, and all you have to do is just, you know, turn on your rice cooker button, and you know, when it's cooked, when your rice is cooked, it will go off. And but with the rice cooker, you would have to cook the aromatics and the chicken on your stovetop first before putting it into your rice cooker. So that's one step that would be different.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so the Thai basil's in there. Let me just grab a plate. And scoop that. And if you're vegetarian, instead of chicken, you can use tofu or eggplant. Let me just show you what it looks like. So there you go. This is a Thai basil chicken rice, one pot meal, really easy, very quick, and it serves 4. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna do a quick stir fry. I am going to turn my wok on. And some people will tell you that you have to wait for your wok to heat up first before you pour in the oil. I mean, honest, for me, I just pour in the oil and I just wait until I can feel the heat. So I'll put my palm above and wait to feel the heat about 2, 3, 4 inches above. And I have, my aromatics are going to be garlic and some onion. And I also have some ginger, which I will cut. Let me just turn down the heat a little bit. Ginger. Now, I don't know if all of you know this trick, but the best way to peel ginger is actually to use a teaspoon. So all you do is just like scrape the skin off. Because if you were to use a knife, you would actually peel off some of the flesh beneath the skin as well. But if you use a teaspoon, all you get is the skin, and there's very little waste. So I just scrape off the skin first. And there we go. Okay, and I'm going to cut the ginger into slivers. If you prefer, you can also just use a grater. So I like to just cut my ginger into thin slivers. So I cut the ginger, sorry, lengthwise. So I have cut my ginger into slivers. Here you go. That. And I'm going to toss a little bit of garlic to see. Can you hear that sizzle? So that means that the oil is ready. So I'm gonna put some garlic. I'll put the ginger in. And my onions. So I'm doing a vegetarian stir fry today. So if you wanted to cook meat, I would do that separately. So before you put the aromatics in your wok, I would just stir fry the meat by itself first, and then take it when it's maybe about 3/4 done, maybe still a little bit pink. You can take it out of the wok and just put it on a plate. Yeah, it's okay if it's still pink because you're gonna be cooking it again at the end because you're combining all the ingredients together. So the key in a stir fry is to cook the thicker ingredients and denser ingredients first. So I have bok choy, which I have split into the stems and to the leaves, and I also have radicchio. So you can stir fry just about any vegetable you want. So this is what I had at home, so that's what I'm cooking. I'm just gonna put the bok choy stem. So vegetables like carrots and broccoli, those are the vegetables that you will probably want to put in your wok first because they're thicker and denser and they will take longer to cook. Another trick is to microwave or parboil, blanch your vegetables first before you combine them all in the wok. So this is a matter of what your comfort level is. And every time you add a new ingredient, you're gonna have to adjust the temperature because with every new ingredient you add to your wok, the temperature in the wok goes down, it falls. So to bring it up again, to bring up the temperature in the wok, you wanna bring up the heat as well. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Now, in terms of sauces, so you can use any sauce you want in a stir fry. So I have fish sauce. I have 2 different types of soy sauce. This is Japanese soy sauce. This is Chinese soy sauce. So today, I think I'm going to use fish sauce. If you have hoisin sauce or oyster sauce, that works as well. Now I'm going to put in the radicchio. Put that in. So my last ingredient is going to be bean sprouts, and this I'm going to add right at the end. Okay, once I turn off the heat, because bean sprouts take no time to cook, and I like them crunchy. So how long you cook your vegetables, it all just depends on you, whether you like your vegetables like, soft and soggy or nice and crunchy. So it's all about, just using your eyes. And of course you can just, pick off 1 or 2 pieces to taste. I hope you can hear me over the sizzling of the pan. So I'm gonna just estimate how much. When it comes to stir fries, I never measure, so. Okay. Here. If you want, you can add a drizzle of sesame oil as well for added flavor. You don't want to add sesame oil too soon because it's more of a finishing oil, and if you add it too soon, the flavor will dissipate. So I always add it at the end. And I never use sesame oil to cook with, like, when at the beginning, but I know that some cooks mix sesame oil together with another vegetable oil. Oh no, I forgot to put the bean sprouts in, so let's just stick it in there for a little bit. It's residue. So you have to forgive me. I'm like so excited with the results of the elections. Like I'm not thinking straight. Anyways, I just turned up the heat a little bit and stir fry a little bit longer so that the bean sprouts are warmed up a little bit. Sizzle, sizzle. Okay. All right. So the radicchio adds a pretty color to it. And I know it's not one of those vegetables that you would think about putting in your stir fry, but honestly, you can stir fry just about anything. So I have some kohlrabi in the fridge, and I was actually thinking about chopping them up into like, you know, tiny slivers to add to my stir fry, but I ran out of time, so I couldn't do that. But here's my stir fry. Ta-da! Okay. And I guess the last thing that we have to do is the have to finish off the cucumbers. All right, so the cucumbers have been marinating for a little while. So to finish it off, before serving, add some green onions. I've chopped them up. Add them to the pot. And then a drizzle of sesame oil. So, and then sesame seeds to finish. I know I'm not measuring, but I would say like a teaspoon of each. All right, so we have 3 dishes in under an hour. We have cucumber kimchi, we have our veggie stir fry, and our chicken Thai basil rice. Ta-da! So, oh man, I've got fry in my throat. I think somebody was asking what brand of sesame oil I use. So usually I use a Japanese brand called Kadoya. That's what I find in the Asian market, but I found this brand on sale and I just wanted to try it out. I believe I bought this at Amazon maybe. So, and it's got a nice toasted nutty flavor as well. So yeah.
Pat, what brand of sesame oil do you use?
Oh, I just answered that question. So I use a brand called Kadoya, Kadoya. So that's the go-to brand that I use, but this brand is called La Tourangelle. I'm not sure, let's see, where is it from? It's from California. So I just bought it because I wanted to try something different. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a very distinctive can, and you can find it at your local grocery store. So yeah. Anybody have any other questions?
There's a comment. Can you show us all the brands of condiments you use?
Yeah, of course. So for fish sauce, I use Red Boat. So this is my favorite brand of fish sauce because it's just made out of fish, salt, and water. It doesn't have anything else in it. A lot of the fish sauce brands that you find out there tend to have additives, like they'll add, you know, sugar or preservatives. So it is a little bit expensive, but a little does go a long way. So, and then for Japanese soy sauce, I use Kikkoman. And there's another brand that I buy as well called Sanjay. So SAN-J, which I also use. So I have to admit that I just buy whichever is on sale. And I would buy a soy sauce that is traditionally brewed and not processed using any any chemicals. So, and Pearl River Bridge is my favorite Chinese soy sauce. So I'm not sure you can see it very clearly, but yeah, so this is Pearl River Bridge. I'm trying to think of any other. So Lee Kum Kee actually makes a pretty good soy sauce as well. And you know, they have a whole range of sauces. And then, okay, let me see what else I have in my fridge. So this is an oyster sauce. This is my favorite brand of oyster sauce because it does not contain any MSG, and its only ingredients are so it's like soy sauce, sugar, and some starch. So, and oyster extract. And then, of course, I mean, everybody knows sriracha, right? And then, let's see. This is rice, my favorite brand of rice vinegar, Marukan. And if you buy, if you're looking for a rice vinegar, just be careful that you don't buy the seasoned rice vinegar, because the seasoned rice vinegar has sugar and salt added to it, and that's usually for making sushi rice. And this is my chili paste, sambal ulak. But you know, you can totally make your own sambal ulak. In sambal ulak means paste that is ground or pounded. So it's an Indonesian word. And you know, the most basic sambal ulak is just using chilies and salt and just grinding it in a mortar and pestle. Let me show you my mortar and pestle. So this mortar and pestle is my mom's, which she brought with her in her suitcase all the way from Singapore. She doesn't use it anymore because she prefers the food processor. But I grabbed it from her just for nostalgic reasons. And I do use it once in a while if I have a small amount of chili paste to make, or if I want to grind a small amount of spices together. Because, I mean, truly, if you're making a food in bulk, it is a lot easier to do it in your food processor. I mean, my mom does it, so yeah.
Add a couple of questions. Have you used the slow cook function on Instapot?
Have I used it? No. So for my Instant Pot cookbook, I only use the pressure cook function because after doing a survey of friends and readers of my blog and Facebook page, I asked them what were the functions that they used the most, and most of them said the saute function and the pressure cook function. So, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but I've read that the slow cooker function on the Instant Pot is actually not as efficient as an actual slow cooker. And to be honest, I have a slow cooker, but I don't use it very much. So I'd rather have my food ready quicker, as opposed to preparing all my stuff in the morning and putting it in the slow cooker and then being able to eat it later in the day. So no, I have not.
Pat, what is the difference between the Chinese and Japanese soy sauce?
Okay, so Chinese and Japanese soy sauces, I mean, they're made with mostly the same ingredients. Like, you have soybeans and you have salt, but one of them has more wheat in it. I'm trying to remember which one has more wheat. I think maybe the Chinese version tends to have more wheat in it, and the Japanese version, you can find wheatless soy sauces without wheat in it, and I mean, they're usually called tamari. So, and the Japanese soy sauce tends to be a little thicker and darker. So, and to be honest, if you don't compare the two soy sauces side by side, it's really hard to tell the difference, especially in a dish. But for me, I prefer to use Chinese soy sauce in my Chinese dishes or my Southeast Asian dishes, whereas I use the Japanese soy sauce more for my Japanese and Korean dishes. So, but that's just a personal preference. I mean, I tell people you don't need to go out and buy two different types of soy sauces. You can just use them interchangeably. So, because yeah, the flavor difference is imperceptible. But I saw my friend Deborah, who's like a Japanese cooking teacher. I don't know, Deborah, do you have anything else to add to that, or do you have anything to refute me with?
I agree with you. I tend to use Japanese soy sauce sort of for most things as it I think has the most consistent flavor. But, you know, I've also been told that for Chinese dishes, you should use Chinese soy sauce, and for, you know, you sort of stick with the culture that it comes from, with the recipe. But yeah, for things like special vinegars and special soy sauces, I would definitely go with the soy sauce from the culture.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That we couldn't see the label on the oyster sauce. What is it called?
Maekrua, Maekrua. The English name is, see, let me see if you can see it. It's right there. Maekrua. But it's got this lady on the front label, so you cannot miss it. Okay, anybody else got any questions? Well, if there are no more questions, then well, thank you all for coming. This has been fun. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and you can always send me questions. I believe was my email address on the website? I'm not sure, but the recipe is on the website, and you can always tweet at me at pickles&tea, or I'm also on Instagram, pickles.and.tea. So happy to answer your questions through any of those outlets. Oh, and I'm also on Facebook, Pickles and Tea. So you can message me on any of those social media outlets, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you all for coming. And yeah, have a great weekend. It's supposed to be really beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat, for sharing some of these delicious recipes. And
I wish I could give you some tastes, but that's what it is with virtual events.
Can't wait to try them out. And thank you all for sharing your afternoon with us. Have a good Sunday.